Hello, John Neal here. Thank you for watching. This is the second blog that I'm going to do. Just to put myself in some context, I am in the middle of Nuneaton. No, I'm in the middle of England, in Nuneaton. It's December 2017. Anyway, thanks for watching. Do subscribe down below. It's great. Just click and you get more of this. And I'd love to hear from people, see if you've got any reaction to what I've got to talk about. I hope you like the haircut. I didn't really mean to have a haircut. How can I not mean to have a haircut? Well, I did another sign writing job for a friend of mine, and he exchanged with a haircut for me. It was a barber shop, and I wrote Merry Christmas on his window, which was very easy, and a nice fellow, Mark. I like him a lot, so I thought I'd oblige and go and do the job for him. Right, what's going on? Oh yeah, it was so icy I fell over. The next day after the snow, it was just very wet. Some of the ice, the snow had melted, and the rain had turned to ice, and it was like a skating rink. And I was walking on the drive near the car, and I just fell straight over, went flat. Before I knew where I was flat on my back. And when you're my age, which by the way is 66, I don't mind telling my age. It's none of my concern how old I am. It was my parents' fault. They did it, not me. Anyway, I'm 66, fell flat on my back. Unfortunately, not too bad. I could have put a hand out and broken a wrist or anything. It would have been terrible. And it does happen, but a lot of people did fall over, and it's fairly treacherous. Still, we seem to have managed. And today I've been on the market stall again in Nuneaton, and it was a complete waste of time. It rained. It was not supposed to rain. I didn't have a shelter over the top. They didn't have any, but they let me have some tables out in the open. And the app on the phone, I'll show you what a phone looks like. It's like this, of course. And there's an app on it that tells you what the weather is, locally, right down to the minute. But it doesn't. Rubbish. I tell you, this is what they ought to do. Apparently they boast they have millions of pounds worth of computers predicting what the weather's going to be, gathering all the data, chewing it all up. Oh yeah, it's going to be like this, this or this. And it was completely wrong. Sell all those computers, sell them. I don't know how much that would generate, but give everybody in this country, or anywhere else if it comes to that, just give us the money. Give us 20, 30 quid. And I'll buy a nice umbrella, some sunscreen, and leave us to it. Because the weather forecast was absolutely useless. So I set the whole stall up on 3 tables, all my boxes, all the stuff, and within an hour it started to rain. And so I just had to put everything away again and bring it back, and here we are. However, that does throw up one interesting idea, and that is fate. Fate. Now then, I could say, oh, what a nuisance this is, and really kick up a fuss. But to be honest, I didn't feel so inclined to, and I've every reason to, but who am I going to blame? There's nobody to blame. And anyway, I've come to the conclusion nowadays that sometimes it can be to your advantage to be delayed or moved around. It's as if the timetable of your life is there for us to decide what to. I decide to go to the market stall. I decide to stay there. And then it starts to rain and I have to come back again. But in doing so, who knows? Let's go for an absurd scenario. How about if there was a gunman in town today who shot everybody and I wasn't there because it had rained? Well, I would have thanked myself for that. There is a very good lesson to be learned in the story that is in the Baha'i writings in the Hidden Valleys about the Watchmen. And what happens is the Watchmen, it's set, I presume, in times gone by, when within a town there would be a curfew, and if anybody was out and about, the watchmen would be out. They're like very early policemen, I suppose, and they would chase you, and if you were caught, they'd mete out immediate punishment, and they'd probably beat you up. So nobody goes out after the curfew. And what happens then is this man in this story, he's looking for his lover, his girlfriend, and he gets chased by the Watchman, and he curses the fact that the Watchman's chasing him and will beat him up or even kill him if he catches him. So he chases up and down the alleyways and down the streets, and he goes down a blind alleyway and then has to climb up a great big wall, and then he goes over the wall, and then because he was chased by the Watchman, he finds his lover on the other side. And now, had it not been for the Watchman who chased him, he would never have found him. I actually wrote a song about this. I'll put a link at the bottom. I think it's called The Watchman. But it's an interesting story because it only goes to show that sometimes adversity can lead to something of good. You can't just say, oh, it's all gone rotten on me and that's it. And there's no two ways about it. I would fully admit sometimes there are terrible things that happen to people and they are not good and they should never happen. So there is always that. But occasionally just little things like it rains on you and you have to cancel and move on. Maybe sometimes that would be to your advantage. So I took it on the chin, came home, and who knows, it may be to my advantage. In fact, I would probably not be doing this vlog had it not been for the fact that I had to forget the plans for today and change tack and do something else. So here I am. I had an interesting chat with some Jehovah's Witnesses. They walk through town every Saturday, it seems. I didn't realise until I did the market stall. And they're one of the gentlemen I know from 20 years ago. So I always have a little bit of a joke with him. It's December after all. And I just waved to him and wished him Merry Christmas. No, they don't do Christmas, of course. Jehovah's Witnesses don't do Christmas for whatever reason. So I thought, well, okay. It was just a joke, and he took it well. But then later, one of his colleagues came and had a chat with me for half an hour. There was not much happening, so I was more than happy to have a talk with him. And if you've been spoken to by, I won't say speak with, but if you've been spoken to by Jehovah's Witnesses, or anybody else with a particular philosophy to hand over, quite interesting really. I think that most people might like to do that if you have a point of view, just as I'm doing this vlog now, which is why I'm inviting back other comments. The one thing that this gentleman did not do today, and he was very pleasant, he was very intelligent, he was very eloquent, he was very nice about what he had to say, but he didn't want to know anything about what I thought. And I hinted a little bit of things that had happened to me, but at no point did he want to do that. In fact, then he came back later. He went off and came back and handed me one of the Jehovah's Witness leaflets. And I thought, oh, here he is again. Maybe no. All he did was hand me the leaflet, say, oh, don't forget, look on this website for what they were talking about this week. And I thought that was interesting, that whatever he had to say was so important that what I had to say was not important. So somebody says, oh, well, they want to get their message over to you. And I'm going, well, yes, the message that I actually got was just in the manner in which he did it. And the message that he put over to me was, I've got something to say, and I don't really want to know what you've got to say. Which I thought was a lesson to be learned. So if you are talking to somebody, give them space or opportunity to respond back. So please, if you have anything to comment about what I've got to say or any other issues around and about at the moment, then let's back them backwards and forwards. My sir, over to you. The ball's in your court, as they say. Okay, I think that'll do me for now. I'll see if I can launch and promote this little snippet to get some more people to respond to it. So I might email a few people out. I don't know. We'll see what we can do. So all the very best. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any comments, please get back to me. Subscribe underneath. I'll put a couple of links, one to that song or that story about the Watchmen, and my own website as well, which has got some stuff on. But since I've not been sign writing so much, it's got some stuff on anyway. Okay, bye. See you next time. Bye bye.
I looked around just the other day. I couldn't see you, I didn't know what to say. All I knew was I was alone. All I wanted was you to phone, but you weren't there. It was more than I could bear. I walked the streets looking for you, my dear. Which way to go? No, it wasn't clear. Then I saw a man, he had a knife. I had to run to save my life. I did not know which way to go. I ran like hell, I ran to the left and right. The dead-end street came into sight. It ended with a 10-foot wall. I wasn't small, but I wasn't that tall. I smelled his breath, it smelled like death. I leapt up high, I pulled and screamed. This nightmare came from just a dream. Somehow I clawed, and with a leap I threw myself over and landed in a heap. Cut and bruised, I landed on the other side. And there you were, standing by my side. You were beautiful, safe and sound. No longer lost, you were found. Without the fear, I would not be here. If I'd had the heart right from the start, I'd have praised the clown who chased me round.